Happy New Year, and welcome to a special holiday horror episode here on Horror Fiend TV. I am Joe the Psychologist, and I am joined by my partner in crime, my beer brother, my brain eater, my comic book collector, Ricky Vang. How you doing, bro?
What up,
Salute.
Joe the Psychologist? Happy New Year, bro. Last
Happy New
day
Year.
of the year,
Last
2024.
day.
Flew by, but we all cheer for big bottles of beer, brother. Salute. I got some good
Salute.
beer today, too.
Me and my brother were talking about there's kind of, yes, the holidays come around, but everybody seems to always talk about almost always the same holidays, Halloween or Christmas. Well, there's more. And for this episode, we'll kick off this series with Terror Train. This one is one that it's a New Year's Eve party. Yeah, I mean, are you looking forward to talking about this one?
Hell yeah. I saw this movie a while back, and I remember when I first watched it and completed it, the first thing I thought to myself was, why isn't more people talking about this movie? I mean, granted, the gore is very minimal, but I think it works to the film's advantage. And keep in mind, this is 1980. This is not that long after Halloween. So I believe
No.
that Jaime Lee Curtis tried to do other things. They didn't work out. She went back to horror, and she was awesome in this. So a lot of people don't even realize this movie exists, which is sad. So
Well, and
I'm glad you brought it up to my attention, and you said let's do it for Horror Fiend TV. We didn't know quite where to fit it. I think with this little holiday horror special we got going on, celebrating New Year's, yeah,
There we
brother,
go.
good shout.
I could be wrong. And obviously, if I am, instead of us searching it, somebody in the comments can tell me. I'd love being
Oh, they
corrected.
will.
That way I learn. But if I am correct, it was actually Halloween, then prom night, and then Terror Train.
You're right. Yeah, you know what? Good shout.
So this is where she kind of got her Scream Queen
Yeah,
because she
you're
had done basically, a trifecta all in a
Yeah.
row. So what this movie has to do about is basically right in the beginning, we have a prank that goes horribly wrong. And it is a group of freshmen. And then we fast forward 3 years later. And I myself was not too clear on this, if they had graduated or they're about to graduate. It wasn't clear because this trip that they were going on and Alana's boyfriend, Mo, had gotten for the group for New Year's. She didn't want any presents. This is what he got her. And as it turns out, it was actually their friend Doc who, came up with the idea and has come up with some really, really bad ideas that has put kind of the group in some bad situations, starting with the prank on Kenny in the beginning of the movie. Off the top, you already know, we're talking about 80s slashers. Any movie that in the beginning starts with your basically victim, somebody's out for revenge. But what was really cool, a lot of slashers take place in camps. They take place in schools. This was a setting on a train. It is constantly moving. You only have so much you can go as far as traveling through it.
Claustrophobic like a motherfucker.
It is claustrophobic. The train itself is pretty huge. There's not anywhere you can go, it almost feels. Again, the movie's called Terror Train, so it's all going to be on a train. All these party rooms, I'm sorry, but the rooms that had the curtains for the cabins, I can't help but to feel that those were the sex rooms. I mean, even though anybody could just walk in and go peekaboo, it just gave that feel. I mean, these are all college kids. So I thought that keeping basically all your protagonists in such an enclosed atmosphere situation just kind of elevated the movie.
I loved it. You hit the nail on the head. It's not in a camp. It's not in a school. It's not in a suburban area. It's nothing like that. It's on a train, a moving train. And what I loved about that, this killer is taking advantage of all these people wearing costumes. So he's going from costume to costume, so you never know who it is at all. That is such a cool gimmick, and I wish in a way they would have played more to it, but I think it's fine, the way it was.
Yeah.
And you mentioned it's an 80s slasher, but if you think about it, this is 1980, so I'm assuming this still is technically the 70s.
70s, yes,
going
you
by,
had disco and funk
Yeah, because
music in
you
there.
don't go from the 70s, right? And all of a sudden you hit 1980, and then all of a sudden everything changes. just the 80s didn't really start taking shape until like 83, 84. That's when you started getting into the 80s because that's just how it is. And people don't really always think about that. They just think 1980 and that's it. No, 1980s technically is still like we're still reeling off the 70s. You know, disco is dying. You could just look at this cast of characters, bro, and you could see like, man, bunch of motherfuckers looking like they're coming from a bay of blood and shit. You know what I'm saying? So I love that. And the train setting is perfect. Like you mentioned, claustrophobia, man. I don't know about you, but those you mentioned having sex with those little rooms with the curtains. I'm a skinny motherfucker. And I don't think I could be able to fucking have sex in them. I can't imagine anyone else. It's so tight. I love the way the characters moved from the corridor to corridor, and the way the train is like swaying back and forth, and you got the sound of the railing of the rails, and the train pushing forward. I love all that because it's such a different setting, and it was snowing at that. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So even a bigger bonus, and you mentioned the cast of characters. I believe the movie started, I believe, at the tail end of their the freshman year, or not even. They were freshmen, right? You're
We're
right.
freshmen for the beginning.
3 years later, let's say they're seniors. They didn't graduate yet because this is New Year's. No one graduates during that time.
All right, so you're right. So then, so
Yeah.
there were months from graduation.
Yes.
Okay,
So they're
all
probably
right.
going to graduate sometime in the upcoming spring, summertime of the
So
next
then
year.
Doc was not a doctor.
No, come on. That guy said it
Doc was not a
himself.
doctor.
He had janitorial jobs and shit. And I don't believe a word that motherfucker said too. So I don't take his word with a grain of salt, bro.
Yeah, no, like, definitely. He was. I mean, he would played a good, as far as your other villain in the
Ah,
movie. To be
fuck
honest with
Doc.
you. Well, no, I mean, I didn't like him. I'm not rooting for him.
Let me ask you a question, bro. I would never have a friend like Doc. Who would be friends with this guy? The guy
You'd be
literally set up his
surprised.
best friend so he can get caught cheating on his girlfriend. I
Well,
don't
I mean,
understand who gets off on that. And
the
then when he
guy's
gets
miserable
killed, he
himself.
starts crying. Oh, my best friend. No, man. You trying to
He's miserable
sabotage my
himself.
man.
You think, maybe he was in love with him.
You know what? When he said that one line, which is kind of weird, like, if she leaves the door, you got me. He's like, no, I'm serious. You
I kind
got
of have
me.
to. It's like as I'm watching it, I'm like, and it's kind of little like,
The
I'm
movie
like,
was filled with a lot of innuendo, like that newspaper that one conductor was reading. It had somebody
oh,
wrote "gay" on it, and it was a circle. Like, what the fuck is that?
yeah, like
And then I got
the-
distracted by all the Budweiser cans on the fucking table. You know how much I hate Bud.
somebody is out for vengeance here. Somebody is out to get the pranksters, obviously. Like you said, I loved that the way that basically got in was grabbing Groucho's and, like I can't believe that one guy
Groucho
was
Marx.
dude, that guy was so popular, everyone loved him. And I'm like, all right, well, I was a nerd in school, and I'm like, all right, go nerds.
Oh
like
god, you mean the guy under the Groucho mask?
yeah, he was
I hated that guy.
obnoxious.
Oh my, I'm glad
But,
he got killed quick.
but it's
Bro,
like
I
he
couldn't
was
take
so
that dude.
obnoxious. And you were wondering how would you be friends with Doc?
But
I couldn't be friends with him.
I'd rather be friends with him. Doc, I don't trust him. But this guy here, what I hated about him so much, he tried to be funny, but he wasn't funny.
He wasn't funny at all.
I guess that was the
flat.
joke. That's the character.
Yeah.
He just wasn't funny, and he just kept going. He was annoying. I'm glad he got off pretty quick.
His jokes were flat, just the same way he was after the train tracks went over him.
Oh yeah, that was pretty quick.
So
how the fuck did they not feel the train running over a fucking corpse? Like you would be like,
I thought about that too, but I'm assuming just guessing the weight of those carts, they might not notice. Maybe if they went over a rock that doesn't actually crush, you might feel it. But the weight of that is just gonna. At least he was dead already when that happened, so he didn't feel himself being crushed by that fucking train.
They're med students, and you mentioned Doc. He's like, I'm a doctor, but when Mo's bleeding out, he didn't even bother to check where the hell the wound is, where the blood is coming from. Like, what kind of doctor are you, bro? So no, trust me, this guy's he's one of those guys. He's all talk.
What did you think of his screams? Like he was screaming, and again, I don't want to say this without any offense, but he was screaming like a girl. Like what happened to his voice? He's like, Like, it was so high. Like,
What
what I'm
happened to
like,
your voice just now? What the fuck
well,
was
I was
that?
trying to do what he was doing. Like, I'm like, because he had a deeper voice, and during those moments, it was so like, and I'm
You
like,
did
what
it
is
again.
going?
What the fuck is wrong with your
I
voice?
can do
Are you doing that
voices.
on purpose?
Yes, because I was making
Oh,
fun of how Doc sounded
all right.
when
Mark for edit.
Where'd this tough guy persona disappear to? Again, because we mentioned Mo being dead, you mentioned Doc getting killed. So all along the way, everybody involved with the prank is getting off one by one. And unfortunately, some of them that weren't involved with the prank. When the twist is revealed, now that I've seen it a couple more times and had to pay attention to things, I can see the twist. I never like when I say see the twist, is visually see the same person.
Yeah.
The makeup work, everything that was done well enough that you started noticing. I'm going to go to you first. Did you figure out who the killer was? Like when the reveal happened, and then the killer had been there the whole entire time in front of you. Did you figure that one out?
Yeah, I did. When the reveal occurred, I already knew because what happened was when Doc was murdered. Don't forget, the killer placed his hand on Doc's shoulder, and you could see the nails, the painted nails on it, obviously, so you could tell it was female. Now, but prior to that, when Doc brought up the yearbook and it had Kenny's name with the magician on it, I knew it wasn't David Copperfield. You know what I mean? Because we seen the beginning of the movie. So I'm like, oh. And then I thought about the assistant and I thought about what the guy looked like in the beginning. I was like, oh, it's, he's dressed up. He's undercover. He's the assistant. That's who, because we knew it was Kenny. They're not gonna show you somebody get bullied in the beginning, and that has nothing to do with the story pushing forward. So when the reveal happened at the end, when he took off the wig and stuff, and they did the little intercuts of the flashes, I'm like, I already knew. I was like, okay, it's Kenny, and he's the assistant. He's undercover. So when the reveal happened and the twist, I wasn't like blown away. I was like, oh, because they showed it. They showed the hand. Obviously, it's a female hand, but it's not. It's meant to throw you off. But the fact that they had the opening start with Kenny, that's when I knew. All right, that's him. He's the guy under that disguise as the assistant. And it just and when you look at it, it looks like him. You know what I mean? When you first watch it, obviously you're not going to catch that.
That's what I was gonna say.
You
Like
watch it again though, but yeah, but once the killer placed the hand, unless there was two killers, but I never thought there was two. I always
no.
knew it was a revenge story. I was like, it has to be Kenny, and the fact that they had the yearbook with the magician Kenny, with the actual, he was into those theatrics. That's when I was like, oh, he's the assistant. It's meant to kind of reveal itself to you, but since you're not really paying attention to the guy in the fucking wig, you know what I mean? You don't know that because they did a good job of hiding it. The fake
Yes.
teeth. And if you notice, it was never a close up shot of that character. It's always like either a medium shot or a full shot, never a close up or anything like that, so.
I didn't get it the first time. So then the
I'm
second time,
surprised, Joe. You're
yeah,
good at
no,
that too.
well, I mean, but 1980 it was. I
You,
probably
you saw
didn't
this
see
in
this movie.
1980?
No, I was gonna say I probably didn't
Oh,
see this movie until like maybe like 1984, 85. But even then, I would have been like
too
13.
young to pick
So
those
I wouldn't
nuances
have
up.
the mental,
Mhm.
capacity to
Yeah.
put this mystery together. That's
Yeah.
why when it happened, you're like, whoa. And even when you watch it again, you're like, how am I still missing it? But then when you keep rewatching it, and I wanted this time, I'm like, I'm curious. And they have no idea when they watch the episode, they're going to know that I did this. I wanted to watch this with two other people who I knew they'd never seen this. I had totally lied to my friend Nicole, who came over and said, hey, so I have to watch this movie. Unfortunately, I got a new Fire Stick and I use your account. So I need you to log it in for me. And I have to watch this movie today because we're going to be talking about it tonight. So I'm really sorry. And they're like, what is it? And I'm like, well, it's this movie called Terror Train. So I tell them, they're like, all right. And as they're watching it, I hear them going, and I just stayed quiet. Do you notice that the assistant's arms are kind of long? And I'm like, man, they're totally picking up on shit
Yeah.
that just completely. But again, when I seen
And
these,
muscle structure too at that.
yeah, there was like like, but then after a while, the more I listened to them as they're breaking it, then the clarity I already knew, but what they're seeing, I'm seeing what they're seeing. I'm like, wow, they figured that out. That was pretty quick. But still, I thought the makeup work was good enough because the assistant came across them all.
Oh yeah, yeah. When I first saw this, I didn't know it was a dude. I picked up on
No,
it once they showed the hand and it murdered Doc. That's when I put everything together because just process of elimination. But yeah, they did a really good job of like not really putting too much attention on that character. That character was just there. You know what I mean? So that yeah, pretty good.
Kenny's frame it's not big. It's a small
Lanky,
frame.
lanky. Yeah,
It's lanky. Basically, when Kenny changed into everybody else's costumes, which you had brought that up point
I
earlier.
love that. That was
I
cool.
love that because when the poor train conductor went to show the dead body, and that was fucking, and I didn't even know. I heard them go, Kenny cleaned it up, and that's Kenny in the outfit.
Of
And I'm
course,
like,
yeah, yeah. Of course. When you thought the guy got rejuvenated, bro.
no, I don't know for some
He
reason.
cleaned that shit up, bro. And
So
what I
no,
liked about it though?
I thought he cleaned it up and that somebody else was in there.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
he might have another drunk person. He put the outfit on another drunk person.
No.
That's where I thought it was. But the simplicity of it was that Kenny cleaned it up, put the outfit on, and it just got up like
That kind of bugged me though, because when the conductor and his boy found him, I mean, come on. In actuality, you would take the guy's mask off. You know what I mean? Like, hey man,
yeah,
you okay? Like,
yeah,
they never bothered taking the fucking mask off, man. Like,
that is very true.
what's going
I
on
mean,
here?
the movie, again, it's not. By the way, we're kicking off the series, and this is a Canadian movie.
Oh yeah, and by the way, I'm very impressed with your friends and your circle of friends because if it's my circle of friends and I say, oh, I got a movie, what is it? They ask me, what is it? Oh, it's Terror Train. Oh yeah, when it came out, 1980. Nah, we're good.
Oh
They don't
no,
like
I
watching
mean,
old shit. I keep
yeah,
telling them the
no.
old movies are the best. They're like all that
Well, we're
elevated
all in the same
shit.
age group, so it's like
Well, yeah,
it's
that too.
it's great. Well, and it's that whole thing that getting they're seeing something for the first time. Just like a couple of weeks ago, I saw The Burning for the first time, and if you did not get a chance to check out The Burning and watch out Rick's episode on Horror Fiend Drive-In Theater on The
Check it
Burning,
out. Check it out.
you're missing out. By the time I was done with this movie, I messaged him going, "How the fuck did I
I
not
was
see this
surprised
movie?"
that you've never seen that film before,
No,
bro.
and a lot
Oh
of people will
man.
probably feel the same way about Terror Train.
Yeah, Terry Trina and The Burning they go hand in hand because yeah, those are
Yes.
movies you could tell like maybe not like horror aficionados, but horror fans that are more casual that know Friday the 13th, Leatherface and stuff. You mentioned Terror Train. No, it's got Jamie Lee Curtis. She's in it? No, I never seen that movie. Fucking The Burning has George Costanza in it, bro.
Well, the minute you say Jamie Lee, people go, "Oh,
Oh,
okay,
I'll watch
let me
it.
see it."
Yeah.
All right, so this is New Year's. So, any last sparklers or fireworks you want to talk about on the movie before we say goodbye to everybody?
You said New Year's, and with that, I said we take a shot, my brother.
Of
We all
course.
take a shot for 2025. I hope everyone has a great year coming up. Health and happiness to everyone.
Salute.
Ah, salud. Ooh. Oh.
Well, before you say anything, while that's going down, speaking of 2025, if you did not get a chance just yet, it's not a really long episode, but Ricky and I did a little Beer Brothers live stream where we talk about what's coming up in 2025, which we mentioned this in there.
We get pretty fucked up too, so. But this movie's great. David Copperfield, what a young motherfucker he was in this movie. He was a little baby. And I hated the fact that they thought their friend Kenny, this fucking nerd, turned into this guy. I mean, how the fuck they thought that was the same dude? I would never understand that. But
It was a good way to do it.
Yes, no, it was because remember they said who invited this guy? No one invited the magician. I love the conductor. he was my favorite character, and that's what I liked about this film because it did have a bunch of young adults in it as the main protagonist. But
No,
to
he was the
me,
main.
he was the main
No,
protagonist.
but
I
if
love
if
it. They took an older character and made him the central force. He was the one. He found the first dead body. He knew too. Yeah, wait a minute, something's not right here, And I love when he found the body. He went back to his boy. He sat down. He was like shaking. He poured the coffee. He was like, "You got something I could put in this shit? I just saw a
yeah,
dead body,
shit.
son." I loved at the end of the film when Elena's character, Jamie Lee Curtis, when she's sitting against the wall in the window behind her, and you see Kenny with the mask on, the old man mask, just creep up behind her upside down, and he slowly, clockwise goes up around. Such a Twilight Zone moment for me. I don't know why. I fucking love that so much. And you know what's crazy? The scene when him and Jamie Lee Curtis are tussling and he rips her earring off, that was real. Jamie Lee Curtis said, "You know what? Let's go for it," because
Oh my
she
god.
wanted to be impactful, and that was a real. That was a
Oof.
Jamie
Dude,
Lee's awesome. She's
that scene,
amazing.
that was a rough scene because like my holes probably were closed, but I always feared being in a
Yeah,
fight, somebody yanking
same,
out my
same. When I
fucking
had my
earring.
piercings, yeah, and let me tell
Yeah.
you, this movie I mentioned earlier in this video, not much gore. I think that was the most like, "Ugh," like
Yeah, because
that.
you can feel that no matter what, even if you because guys get their ears pierced also. So
Yeah,
anybody who's gotten their ear pierced
yeah,
can understand what it would feel like to get the ear issue. Kenny ripped it out like it
yeah.
tore the oof. Oof.
Real blood and everything. That was real. That was her
Nice
blood.
job. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that
Fun
was
fact.
yeah, fun fact. The beginning, as far as the prank gone wrong, I think it was kind of weak though. That's the only thing I didn't like about this film. When he started, twirling around the fucking curtain and he's like, "Oh," but nothing happened to him. Like, all right, he saw like a mangled body. Yeah, that's pretty traumatizing. But I don't know. If that's the worst part of the film, I think that's a success because it's a nitpick, honestly.
It is
But
an nitpick, and
yeah,
it's but because it repeats again towards the end. So I'm gonna say
yeah. You know what?
the twirling around.
You're right. It did come full circle. You're right.
I oh, same thing. I wasn't a fan of the twirling around.
Yeah,
And
no, because there's
again,
no
it's
reason
maybe
for it.
because
Yeah.
he had a break, a psychotic, and he's just spinning, and now
They did say
it's just
he was sick. Obviously,
yes,
this is a character that just didn't start killing people because he was pranked. He was really mentally ill, unfortunately.
yeah,
And
and they tried to make him to kiss a fucking corpse because they're medical students.
yeah.
So they were sick enough that they brought a dead person's body
God, I hated that guy.
because that wasn't a mannequin. That was
No,
a dead person's
that was a
body that
real.
they fucking stole, which is
That's
probably why they got in trouble too. Besides freaking him out, it was because
yeah,
he
that's
stole
bad
something.
taste. Not in the movie, but for the characters. Like, you could that I hated that character. These movies always got douche characters. This is one of my. I hate this guy, man. No
That's why you
redeeming
couldn't wait for him
qualities
to
with this guy. But
die.
not even that. The fact that he had all these friends. That's the shit that kills me, bro.
he
Normally,
paid. He
no,
paid
Mo
for the whole.
paid for it. No, Mo was the one with the money. Mo
Oh,
paid
you're
for it.
right. Mo paid for it.
Yeah, yeah, he's the idea guy, remember? But what a fucking dick. In movies like this, normally the bully is like he's a recluse, is secluded away from everyone. This guy, all these people were his friends for the most part, but this fucking guy always, I don't know, I didn't like him. But again, they did a good job because you're not supposed to like the guy. So,
Yeah, and no, because he was a
but
total
good choice, man.
asshole.
This film's great. I would recommend everyone check it out if you haven't seen it. But how about you, my brother? What are your final thoughts? What you want to bring up?
For one, because there's a little other person that appeared in this movie. If anybody likes pop music, Vanity is in this from Prince. If you saw
Princess
Purple
Girl.
Rain,
I know Vanity. I
yeah,
didn't know if she was
she,
in this. Who's she?
yeah, the one. So right towards the end with Alana, she was sitting there. She had like the gypsy outfit on, or what? That's
Wait a
Vanity.
minute. No.
Yes, that was Vanity. And you know how I found out? I've watched this movie, like I said, over 10 times. And the
Mary.
whole
Bro, you blew my mind because as I'm watching this, I kept saying to myself, God, dog, that's the hottest chick in this fucking movie, bro. She's fucking hot, bro. She
no.
was smoking. And now to come to this understanding that was vanity? Wait, look at this cast, bro. Like, what the
Yeah,
most
yeah.
random fucking people shoved in this fucking movie, bro.
As you said, we've talked about it, and when it comes to Three Corners, we try to do a lot of the new stuff, and obviously, if you have not noticed, we have a lot of stuff that's coming into some anniversaries. We love our anniversary episodes. Some of us saw those when we were kids. So it's hard to squeeze certain things in there. Rick and I have a habit of we'll be messaging each other and some bright idea just blows up at that moment. Horror
Mhm.
Italiano. It's February next month, so you should know which one is going to pop up. Thank you for joining us, the inaugural holiday horror episode. It's going to be fun. Happy New Year. And make sure you toast for every holiday because in every holiday, there is going to be some kind of fucking horror. Salute.